people are asking themselves today, why is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington? Why did he choose this timing for his trip to Washington and for his address before the joint houses of Congress? Why now? Why 2 weeks before the Israeli elections? Is he really here, as President Obama and Secretary of State John Kerry would have the world believe, because he's trying to seek electoral advantage in Israel? No, he's not. And in fact, it's not at all clear that this speech is going to accrue any advantage to Netanyahu in the Israeli elections on March 17th, because the opposition has been attacking him and saying that his trip is destroying Israel's relations with the United States. So he's going there, in fact, despite the elections on March 17th, and he's willing to absorb whatever electoral hit he's going to get in order to be there now and make his speech before the joint houses. Because the schedule, the time frame that Netanyahu is operating under is not the electoral calendar of Israel, but rather the nuclear calendar of the United States and Iran. Secretary of State John Kerry and President Obama have determined, together with the Iranians, that they seek to conclude an agreement, a permanent nuclear deal with Iran by the end of March. So that means that we have until the end of this month to prevent this deal from being signed, to derail the negotiations that are going on now in Switzerland. And why is it important to do that? The reason it's important to do that is that the negotiations that the United States under the Obama administration is currently carrying out in Switzerland will pave the way for Iran to become a regional hegemon in the Middle East and a nuclear power. It will allow Iran, the greatest, according to the U.S. State Department, rightly, the greatest state sponsor of terrorism, to be a nuclear power whose terrorist organizations will operate under its nuclear umbrella. So it's not just that Hezbollah will be able to attack Israel from Lebanon or from Syria today, and the only bar against it is Israel. They will have the deterrent force of Iran's nuclear arsenal at their disposal every time that they confront Israel. Israel will have to wonder whether this could escalate into a nuclear war. This is a completely different strategic reality than the one that Israel has faced until now. And the same, by the way, is true for America's traditional Sunni Arab allies in the Middle East: Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Jordan. All of them are under direct threat from Iran and from its proxy forces, of course Iraq. And we are now seeing a situation where the United States under the Obama administration is embracing Iran, again the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, a nuclear proliferating state, as its most prized ally in the region, at the expense of its regional allies, Israel and the Sunni Arab states. And if this deal goes through, then the transformation of the American alliance system in the Middle East will be very difficult to turn back. So really now is the last point at which the United States can come to its strategic senses and end this folly of attempting to transform Iran, its greatest regional enemy and the most destabilizing character on the world stage today, into the United States' its chief ally in the Middle East. It's only now that we can do it. Once the deal is concluded, it's not even clear that a successor administration in Washington is going to be able to undo the damage that is done by the United States of America paving the way for Iran to become a nuclear power. So this has nothing to do with Israel's elections. It has only to do with the will to survive of the Jewish state that's acting in concert with its Sunni allies. Congress of the United States of America is essentially the last place, the last force in the United States that can prevent this from going through. Believe you me, Israel has tried quiet diplomacy with the United States on the Iran issue for the last 6 years. The Netanyahu government has been working quietly with the Obama administration to try to convince it that what it's doing is dangerous and destructive and will lead to a massive war and conflagration in the region for the past 6 years, and we have simply come to the end of the line. There's nobody to talk to, apparently, in the Obama administration, as we see from the hysterical comments being made by Obama and his senior aides attacking Netanyahu. Netanyahu has quite simply decided to take the bullet. He's decided that he would rather become the object of derision of the American left, of the White House, of its allies in Congress, and try to prevent this deal by speaking directly to the Congress of the United States, than for Israel to take the bullet, and for world security to take the bullet, and in fact for the United States' own national security to take the bullet if this deal is allowed to go through. The stakes are that high. That's why he's in Washington, and that's why from here in Jerusalem, I can say that my prayers and the prayers of all Israelis, even if we don't realize it, are with the Prime Minister and hoping for the success of his mission in Washington. Thank you.